Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. How you doing? Check it out. I'm going to wait because we're live right now. So I'm going to wait until a couple people start rolling in. As you roll in, let me know where you're from, where you're watching from, all of that good stuff. All right? I appreciate it. I got some stuff I want to talk about. And really, I want to reintroduce myself, as I say. I want to reintroduce myself for the people who may not know me or the people that think they know me. All right, let me see. Let's get this all situated up here. What's going on? How you doing? People starting to roll in. What's up, Mac? What's going on, Mac? Hey, she Abby. Yeah, share this thing out for me. We gonna get this thing rolling here shortly. It's gonna be a very lively live because I got a couple posts going viral on different platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, and TikTok. And they rolling, they generating. And it's because of the stuff that, I put out. I try to be a uniter for the most part, but I don't want people to get it misconstrued about who I am and what I believe in. All right, what I believe, because obviously, a post like that goes viral, especially on X, brings out a bunch of hateful people on both sides. Racist conservatives, racist Democrats, racist black, racist white. And I just want to let you know who I am, what I believe. All right? For those of you who don't know, some of you guys know me. Some of y'all been following me since 2020, 2019, when I had the, mega viral platform. But some of you have no idea who the hell I am. So I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and what I believe in, because it's more than just, me being a J6er or me just being a black guy or me being from the hood or me going to prison. But I want to break it all down so you know what you're going to get when you come to my page. All right. So number one, my name's Cash. All right. Cash with a K. I'm a father. I'm a husband. Regular guy. I'm a truck driver. I drive trucks. I like music. I do music. It's a hobby now, but it used to be serious. But what I used to be a straight gang banging, drug dealing, violent individual in my younger years. When I was, 3-4 years old, I started throwing up gang signs. That's just the community that I grew up in. And that's what I was raised around. So I thought that's what I was. I thought, everybody around me is gangbangers, so I'm going to be a gangbanger. And that's how I grew up. That's how all of us grew up, where I grew up in, which is Lil Waco. And to this day, I got a lot of love for all my guys that I grew up with. We're still real close because we were different. My hood was different than every other hood because it wasn't just my gang, right? It was, even though we all were in our own gangs, it was the culture of Waco. We're all one. All of us was close. We had Vice Lords, Blackstones, Latin Kings. We even had a couple GDs from time to time that, would be over there. But for the most part, we were all the same, kind of the same. And we all stuck together. And that was a code. That was a code that we all lived by. Was that no matter what, home is home, and we all got each other's back, right? It didn't matter if somebody came and got into it with one of the kings that was from Waco, the Vice Lords and the Blackstones and whoever else was going to help neutrons, people that weren't even a part of the gang. We was going to look out for each other, and vice versa. That's just how it was, because we were more like brothers and sisters. We was more like family, and that's just how we were raised. Now, given things got different and dicier over time as we got older and we started to see people for who they were. And we kind of split, branched out just a little bit, but the bond was still there between all of us. And whereas I used to be a person that fucking I hated the police at one point in time. It was just a couple police officers that, like my dare officer was dope. Officer Burgos, Officer Schmidt. He was real cool. Officer Ray was the cop that was at our school. He was real cool. You had a couple police officers that stood out in the community that we felt like was fair, They were good. And even the police officers that didn't, that we weren't considered cool with, right? They were still decent. Like they didn't beat us or nothing like that. They checked us. We was wrong. We was doing wrong. So as I got older, I started to realize that. I started to realize a lot when I got working. I joined a union at the age of 18, Heat and Frost Insulators Union. But I still had that gang banger mentality. I was still, selling a little bit of drugs here and there. And I had became a father. So I kind of wanted to start changing. Just didn't know how to. I knew getting a job was part of it. Taking care of your kids was part of it. So I had that, but I didn't know the attitude and the outlook that I should have had on life that came with it. And in that, I got away from the hood. When I turned 18, I moved out to the suburbs in Sherrville. And it was my first place. And I tried to just stay away, but I brought people with me. Like one of my homeboys that I love to this day, Creeper. He came over and I was still doing the same thing. I was still smoking. I was still slanging, a little bit of bud. And bringing that to to Sherrville wasn't a good look on me amongst my neighbors because I still dressed the same. I still talked the same. I still was me. I just was in a different setting and didn't change my behavior really. And I ended up getting laid off because I had a bad attitude at work, thinking that I was the shit because I was a gangbanger. And I blamed it on racism. I'm like, they're racist. That's why they put me out this job because they racist. They're like, no, nigga, you weren't going to work. And when you did show up to work, you was mean. You was trying to fight. You had a bad attitude. So I got laid off. I was laid off for like 6 months, blew through my savings and had to move back to the hood. So if you know how it goes when you move from the hood and you come back to the hood and you're in a gang. And I said, fuck the gang at the time. I was just like, I'm being a dad. I'm going to work. I'm going to get out of this because this is stupid. But when you move back into the hood, like it is what it is, bro. And I'm young still. At this point, I'm like 19. And I moved back to the hood and they whooped my ass so bad, y'all. I'm the worst ass whooping I probably ever received in my life. I caught a head to toe, 3.5 minute violation. And man, I was bruised all the way up. And I had to get back on count, so I was back gangbanging. Nah, not gangbanging. I'm lying. I wasn't gangbanging. I told everybody to leave me the hell alone. I kicked it with my guys from the hood, and at that time, our hood had changed. It went from being just Waco to all these other people from different places that now were claiming that they were from our hood, gang-wise. They didn't live there, but the gang, they were from that neighborhood. So it's like chapters, right? So anyway, I'm like, I don't like none of these niggas that they brought over here. I didn't like none of them. I'm like, these dudes they not my people. You know what I'm saying? These are my people. So I was still rebellious, but I had to be back on count. And in the process of that, I got another son on the way. And I'm trying to navigate and I'm still laid off from work. And it was rough. It was rough, man, because I didn't like the people that was around, but I had to do what I had to do in my mind at the time. That's what I'm thinking. Like, you got to do what you got to do. So anyway, time progresses. We go 2 years down the road. I'm 21. I'm back working. I'm still on count, but I'm not a gangbanger at this point. At this point, I'm ready to be done. I'm just like all the way done with it. I don't talk to none of the dudes that's outside of my circle of bros that did not even consist of Latin Kings, Neutrons, Blackstones, and Vice Lords. And then a couple bros that I messed with that was still, Kings, but some of us fell out. Well, one of us really fell out. I fell out with one of them, and then the rest of them was like family at the end of the day. So it was just like, these are my people, but I didn't gangbang. I didn't mess with none of the dudes that was gangbanging. I was out of the game. I didn't hustle with none of them. I had quit selling drugs all the way together. I didn't sell. By the time I was 21, I had quit everything. I was focusing on work and trying to get the hell up out of there. That's what I was working on. And I started reading a lot more and started being more involved in the community. So I moved. I ended up getting me another place in Hammond over by the college. I moved by the college, so I wasn't too far away from the hood. Hey, what's going on, Deb? I wasn't too far away from the hood, but I was far enough to where I didn't have to worry about gunshots. I didn't have to worry about, none of the things that we had to worry about. And in being gone, away from there, I changed. I changed completely. I was just cool with my people, my set group. I had a different outlook when it came to law enforcement. I had a different outlook when it came to work. I had a different outlook when it came to what it means to be a man. And I learned that all of the things that I had learned in the hood as far as how to be a man was bullshit. Straight bullshit. I didn't have to be what I was all those years when I was a teenager, but I didn't realize it until this point. So 22, 23 years old. Now I'm 23 and I'm like, I want to move back. I want to go back to the hood, not gangbanging. I want to go back to the hood because I wanted to help. I wanted to help out because that was my community. That was where I was from. So when I go back to the hood, now I'm on a whole different time. Now I'm like, okay, they all know me in my community. And the new guys that were trying to come around, because there was, at this time, you had people's hoods being shut down. So they wanted to come and start Waco back up, and Waco's hood was shut down, but it was just me and my community of people. So now I'm beating niggas up. That's what I was doing. I had more kids, and I'm a father. I work and I fight, and I'm doing music. So now I'm doing music and my community's loving me for my music that I'm doing. And I'm not cool with the gangbanging. I'm over the gangbanging. Even though me and my guys was, we were a part of the gang, we weren't gangbangers anymore. Everybody was just like, we just trying to make money and raise our kids and do our thing. But I still got that violence in me. Like, okay, the only thing that I know of how to fix this is I'm gonna whoop somebody's ass if they come over here tripping. And that's what I did. I started fighting. I beat up this one dude that was driving. He had a blue truck. He was from East Hammond. Some of y'all might know if you're from the Hammond area. He had a blue truck. It's an older dude, and he was selling heroin down the street at the end of the block. Y'all know them, the crackheads, the junkies that lived on Alice Street right there at the end of the block. And he came to go sell heroin, and I knew what he was doing. And I told him, get the hell up out of here, bro. We don't do that over here no more. That's what I started pushing. We're not doing that over here no more. You're not selling nothing in this neighborhood, bro. And he said, what? Nigga, he looked at me like I was crazy. So I told him, I better not see you over here again. If I see you over here again, it's going to be that. And he came back again. And I beat the dog shit out this dude. Put him back in his car, and then that was the end of that. And he knew who I was, so he's like, okay, what am I going to do? If you're not going to kill me, you're not going to do nothing to me, because I was with the gunplay. I was with the fighting, and that's just who I was. That's just who I was. So he just never came back. I'd never seen that truck over there ever again when I lived there. And then it was another time. This little dude came walking down the street with one of my guys back in the day. I ain't gonna put his name out. He knows. He's on my friends list now on Facebook. But he came and he was trying to open up a hood, and he was like, bro, I need you. I'm like, bro, I'm not doing that. I didn't shake up the crown at this point. I quit gangbanging all the way together. I'm like, I don't shake up, none of that. And he's like, bro, I need you. I need you to start this hood back up with me. I'm like, bro, I'm not doing that. I'm over that. That's not who I am. I'm done. He's like, bro, once a king, always a king. We can't never be done. I said, nah, nigga, I'm done. I'm not doing it. And the little homie came walking down the street where had his hat, black and gold hat. I'm not gonna say his name. Had his hat banged all the way to the left in front of my house. He came walking in black and gold. And I'm like, hey, bro, you gotta fix your hat, man. Fix your hat in front of my house, my guy. And this is a younger dude, so he's looking at me like I'm crazy, because he's like, nigga, you don't tell me what, like how I used to be. Like, nigga, you don't tell me what to do. And dude, my guy that I know, he told him, he say, bro, just fix your hat, bro. Get show respect, and you don't want it with this brother, man. Because I would whoop his ass. That's what I was known for. In my neighborhood, I was known for whooping ass. Straight up. Whooping ass. That's all I did was fight. And I've never lost. I've never lost in a one-on-one. Big dude, small dude, didn't matter. The only time I got my ass whooped is when I got jumped. That was it. And I'll take that L. And it didn't even break me. I got up and dusted my jersey off like, what's up? But anyway, he fixed his hat. And they knew from that point, like, all right, man, Cash is for real serious about this shit. He's not gangbanging. I've refused. And this was all the way from, now we talking from 21 all the way up to when I'm 28 years old. Throughout the span of that time, we've held cookouts, feeding the kids in the community. I've had long conversations. Some of the brothers that were young dudes at that time would tell you, they're on my Facebook page. And I try to tell them, like, yo, bro, you don't need to be gangbanging, bro. You don't need that shit. Don't even become a king, bro. Drop. Some of them still became kings, and some of them was some treacherous. They became treacherous little dudes like how I was. But I tried. And some of you that are watching this, that's not my little homies no more, because you just as grown as me now, but you was my little homies, can attest to this. Try to pull you out the streets and pull you out the gangs. We all make our decisions. And that's what I did all the way up until I was about 28, right? One day I get a knock at my door. Boom, 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 boom. And it's the feds, bro. ATF, Hammond police, everybody. I'm like, what the hell? It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I open up my door. Now they could have kicked my door in. This is how much respect I had gained in the community, not just amongst my community and my people. Matter of fact, yeah, but we're going to keep on going. Amongst the police as well. I gained respect amongst police. I've called out the mayor. I was active in my community. Police go, Cash, we got a warrant for your arrest. I'm thinking it's a bench warrant. I'm talking, they got big guns and they are all in my front yard, dude. And they like, we got a warrant for your arrest. I'm thinking I got a bench warrant. I'm like, well, what was the ticket? I got bond out. You know what I'm saying? So that's fine. Okay, I'm ready. We can go. He goes, no, man, it's a federal warrant. My fucking heart dropped into my stomach, y'all. It dropped into my stomach. So I'm like, all right, well, can I get dressed and can I give my kids a hug? Because once you know, when you get that federal warrant, that's an indictment. I was being indicted for a conspiracy. So they would say, yeah, Cash, you could get your clothes on, you could get dressed. I give my kids a hug and say goodbye to my family. They didn't, search my house or nothing. They was real cool. They took me out the door. They say, before they left, they say, Cash, man, we're sorry. We know that you don't got nothing to do with this, but we got to do our job. I said, I understand. And I went. When I go, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, how? I was pissed. I was hurt because I'm like, I changed my whole life. At the age of 21, I made a decision to not go back. And I stuck to that. I became a pillar in the community, doing things in the community, trying to clean up my community, be there for the kids. When the shootouts happened behind my house with the Lauren Cavillo, rest in peace. When that happened, I ran over. I didn't, like all the other people running away, I ran to it to make sure that the kids was okay. Rest in peace to little Lauren. She was dead. Rest in peace to my guy, white boy. He died. And the day before that, it was Lil B that died, another young brother that I tried to help him not join the gang. And I'm like, how am I indicted? I've never done nothing so bad to be on a federal indictment. Well, you find out when you go in. And by the way, this was the funniest part. When I go in, they throw you into into your cell in Hammond jail. They throw you in the population with everybody that is in this indictment. So I get thrown in here and it's all these niggas that I don't like. All these brothers, these King brothers that I just do not like, that did not like me. They thought that I was, soft and sweet because I left the gang alone. They were like, oh, he quit. He's, he ain't one of us no more. But when they seen me, this is years gone by, they had a respect because they're like, yeah, man, bro, it really changed. And the first thing they said was, what the fuck are you doing here? I said, I don't know. Y'all tell me. And this was the third round because they had already been picking people up for like the 2 years prior to this, right? Or about a year prior to me getting picked up. I was the last batch that they picked up. They picked up IGs, they picked up counts, they picked up Kings, they picked up everybody, and all on indictments. So I said, I don't know, man, y'all tell me. And all these different brothers was like, bro, I can't believe they even got you here, nigga. You've been out the game for a long time. I said, I know. If you go and research my indictment and you look at my indictment, it was all people that I didn't mess with. They're not from my community, except for one. Two of them. One's my cousin and one was my homeboy since second grade, Silent. And yeah, we're all in there. And I'm just shocked. I'm shocked because I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. They know I'm not supposed to be here. So come to find out, I'm the only one that was not charged with a RICO act. Everybody else was charged with a RICO. They had me for a conspiracy to distribute narcotics, which I thought was strange. So I'm like, okay, obviously they know that I wasn't a part of the gang. Otherwise, I would have been in the RICO act. They couldn't charge me with the RICO because I was publicly in the public eye. On the news and all of that before all of this happened. I was on the news for speaking out against gang violence, You know what I'm saying? I was a part of Neighborhood Crime Watch. I was calling the police on gangbangers and shit when I was, before all of this happened. So yeah, it was odd. So I go before the court 2 days later, and the judge grant me bond, supervised released. So I get the ankle bracelet, and I go home. And now that this whole case is over, I could say all of this stuff. But the first thing that I did, first I had to go and have a meeting. I had to go and sit and talk with the feds. And the feds was like, look, are you willing to cooperate? And I say, man, look, I don't know, bro. I don't even know how I would cooperate. I don't know any of these dudes. And they said, well, you could tell us what you know. I said, well, can I think about it? They said, yeah, you think about it. You got time. You're at home. So I said, okay. So at the house, the first thing that I did, and all my people will tell you this, the first thing that I did is went to the brothers in my community, and I told them, bro, they want me to cooperate. I told all of them, every single one of my guys, I'm like, bro, they want me to cooperate. And they said, damn, these niggas, they still hood niggas, mind you, you know what I'm saying? We all live in the hood, but I'm not really like a hood nigga no more. I've been civilianized, you know what I'm saying? And they say, man, they want you to cooperate. Man, what you gonna do? They put it on me. I came to you for advice. They put it on me. I said, look, man, I can tell you this, bro. I know this is gonna sound fucked up. I'm not going to jail for nobody. I got nothing to do with this case. And I literally didn't. When I looked and read my the discovery and the shit that they said that they had against me, I was 12. Somebody gave them information from when I was 12, which would mean that it had to be somebody that knew me. You know what I'm saying? Even though, well, not necessarily, because it was false information. They had me down as a gang leader at the age of 12, right? This shit don't make no sense. They made up stories that was false about me. They're saying that I did things and I was at places where I never was, saying that I ran the gang when I didn't run the gang, and all types of crazy shit. So I'm like, man, yeah, I think I'm going to cooperate, bro. I'm going to cooperate to the best of my ability, but I want y'all to know, because y'all are my people. Y'all are my guys. I don't know these guys that they got me on this case with. I don't know them. So I'm not going to say nothing about you guys. I'm not going to say nothing about home. If they even ask me about y'all, I'm not saying nothing. I told every single one of them. And then because of their hood niggas, they was all like, man, damn, that's a tough one. So everybody was skeptical. They're like, what's he going to do? I could guarantee you this. Every single one of my guys was probably on their fucking tiptoes. Like, am I going to get indicted? Damn, am I going to get indicted? They probably was wondering if I was wearing a wire when I went to tell them, because who does that? Who goes and, talks to their people and tells them like, yo, bro, this is what's going on. This is what I did. And I could say proudly that not one of my guys got indicted. The indictments was done after they came and got me. Nobody from where I was from got indicted. So then what happened? Well, I go in for the first meeting to talk with these feds. And they're like, were you a Latin King? I'm like, yeah, I was a Latin King. Y'all know I was a Latin King. They pull out pictures of me. This is the stuff that they laid out in front of me. They were thinking I was going to lie. They say, do you know this person? They point to a picture of this little brother that I knew him. Like, I seen him in the streets. He's younger than me, but I don't know him. I talked to him when I was doing the Reclaim Our Kids with Patrick Sabatis, and I was trying to get him to leave the gang. And this is why trying to help these kids in the streets is dangerous. Even though I still do it, it's dangerous as hell because you don't know what they're involved with, right? They pulled out a picture of me talking to this young man and said, how do you know this guy? If you don't know him, why are you right here talking with him in front of your house? I say, oh yeah, I know him, like, because I talked to him trying to get him to leave the gang. They saw you were trying to get him to leave the gang, like as if it was a shocker. I'm like, yeah, bro, that's what I do in the community. I try to help the kids get out of the gangs. So this guy was a Latin King? I'm like, apparently, yeah, or he was trying to be a Latin King. You know what I'm saying? And they did this multiple times with young dudes that I had talked to. Showed me pictures of me trying to tell these little niggas to lead a gang. And it clicked in my mind, Officer Schmidt, if you're out there and you ever see this video, do you remember before I got indicted and I was out there doing that work and you came up to me? Because the way I would talk to some of the guys, I would go and play basketball with them. Like on my street, down the street, there was a basketball hoop and I would play basketball with them. And that was my end to be able to talk to these people, talk to these young men. So because at the time I'm on SOS. Even though I'm not gangbanging, you're considered on SOS. They're supposed to smash me on sight. They supposed to whoop me. They supposed to shoot me, but none of them did, because they like, we know Cash is cool. And again, if we ain't gonna kill him, then there's no point, because he'll get on that with us. So Officer Schmidt pulls me up one day. He goes, Cash, you shouldn't be talking to these dudes. And I'm like, man, I can't just leave them out there like that, bro. I can't let what happened to me happen to them. I gotta try. I helped create this problem. It's how I felt. I helped create this gang culture in my community, so I have to try to help by trying to get them to not join the gang. He goes, yeah, but you shouldn't. Let them find their way, bro. Let them be. That's what Officer Schmidt told me. I didn't know what he meant at the time. I knew after I got indicted and I start seeing all these pictures. When I start seeing all these pictures of me with all these little young kids, these little teenagers, it clicked in my brain like, oh shit, they had a case against these dudes this whole time for murders and all types of crazy shit that I didn't know about. I didn't know that none of these little dudes was out here doing none of this. So that's what they start asking me about. Do you know, did you ever hear that this person right here killed so-and-so? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, I've never heard that. I don't know them like that. I never got into that with them. I literally just tried to pull them out the gang. Well, how do you know this person? And they did the same thing over and over and over. And that was the nature of my cooperation, right? And then they pulled out a picture of Farmer. Now, if you know who Farmer is, Jeremiah Farmer, that was my cousin-in-law. I've known him my whole life. Love him. He's crazy as hell, but I love him. You know what I'm saying? People got their opinions about him. I've got an opinion about him. Do I think he's a fucked up individual or was a fucked up individual? 100%. But I love the brother. And they asked me about Farmer. How do I know Farmer? So now I'm like, okay, now they touching territory where I can't talk about nobody from home, right? But now if I don't tell the truth, then they're going to say that I'm not credible. So then I had to write Farmer a letter after they asked me, like, how do I know him? I say, he's like family, you know, and I was raised with him and all these things. And mind you, this is the first meeting. On that first meeting, when I go home, I tell Stephanie, I'm like, look, we need to like try to get a hold of Farmer or do something, because he was locked up, and let him know what's going on. So communications happen. Farmer writes a letter back. And this is what Farmer said. Farmer, and I told him the whole situation about what I had going on without it being me. Farmer said, bro, Cash, you're doing really good. You're a good father and you've changed your life. He goes, fuck them dudes, bro. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Just tell the truth. And this dude he's a monster, man. Like, for real. He's a Farmer, you know, he stayed real on that aspect. He said, bro, just do what you got to do. I said, all right. So when I sat and talked to him about Farmer, my mind clicked in and was like, okay, tell the truth. I'll tell the truth, because their goal was to get me to testify against Farmer. But when I told the truth, they didn't want that truth on trial for him, because it made him look like a victim. And what was the truth? The truth was, I know Farmer his whole life, and he was always a troubled teenager. He was troubled, man. He had a rough ass life, worse than mine. He was abused. He was assaulted as a kid. He was picked on, and he wasn't right in his head, but he always was trying to do right. And this was everything that I was saying was true. I say, I remember when I had left the gang, and I would talk to Farmer, because he's family. He literally was family by marriage to me. It was my ex-wife's cousin, first cousin. So he would be around, and I would have these conversations with him when he was addicted to things that he was addicted to without putting too much of his business out. You know, I would tell him, like, bro, you got to turn to God. You know what I'm saying? You got to turn to Christ, bro. Like, and he could fix all of this. But you got to make a choice to just say, I'm done. Leave the gangs alone. Leave the drugs alone. And just come with me. Come to church, bro. Come hang out. Just stay around. Stay around good folks. You know what I'm saying? And he tried. He did try. But, you know, sometimes you know how it is when you get it together and then you fall back. And this is what I'm telling the feds. So they're like, so you've never seen him commit any murders? I say, no. I've never, and that's the God's honest truth. I've never have seen Farmer commit a murder. I've never seen Farmer do anything but fight. He's like me. He's a fighter. You know what I'm saying? And they just couldn't use that. They couldn't use anything of what I said because it put the story together like, oh, this is why on paper y'all got this dude as crazy as hell, because look at what he had to go through when he was a kid. He went through some really fucked up stuff. So they couldn't use me, which I was grateful for, because that was the one thing that I wouldn't do, was get on the stand and testify against somebody. And I couldn't. The only people that I could have testified on was the people from my community, which I would never do, and I didn't do. And to the people that were, that they were asking me if I knew these people, I didn't know them except for trying to pull them up out the gangs. I tried to pull little CK up out the gangs. CK, I used to whoop his little ass with a belt when he was in the neighborhood. He was bad. You know what I'm saying? But he was a good little dude. My little homie, Midnight, same thing. That was my little homie, bro. That was my guy. They asked me about Midnight. I say, man, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. I don't know him outside of, him just being a kid that I see around the neighborhood. So anyway, all of this happens. And this is the crazy shit, is that I'm living in the hood during all of this. I'm still living in the hood. So after all of this is done, I done let my people know every single time I had talked. I talked to the feds like 2 times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And that was it. That was literally it. And then I stayed on pretrial release up until it was time for me to go to sentencing, which was supposed to be right before COVID hit. And when COVID hit, all the courts shut down and it just pushed everything back. And in that time, I grew even more. I became this social media influencer on top of what I was doing in the community. My marriage had failed. Because, we were not on good terms, and I cheated, and I wasn't all the way right. I ain't gonna lie to you. My head was messed up. I had a whole lot on my head on top of dealing with home life. And that happened. And I was on my own. Taking care of my kids on my own. And it was just a really, really hard time. It was a hard time, because I still had a couple of my homeboys that I was so close with, but everybody was understandably nervous about everything, the whole situation with the feds. And it was a rocky time. So then my life just blows up in a good way. Social media, I take it by storm, just being real. When the Black Lives Matter stuff happened, and me catching that case, right, made me lose faith in the justice system, because I'm like, you guys got me in here. Y'all supposed to be the top tier, best, investigators in the world. And you got me down as a gang leader at the age of 12. And you're trying to say that I'm facing 5 to 10 years in prison. If initially it was 5 to 40 years in prison, but I cooperated and it went to 5 to 10 years in prison. And I was honest, but I wouldn't talk about home. I would not talk about home. And as a result, I got to keep my friendships with my bros. None of them went to prison, which I was happy about. I was very happy that none of my friends went to prison. My brothers, because they are my brothers, even the ones that I'm still like, I'm pissed off at them, but I love them. You know what I'm saying? I wish the best for them. But they got to stay home. They didn't get robbed of the good that they had achieved, because we all came from messed up backgrounds, right? We all were gangbangers and shit. We all did some things, but I didn't feel like they should get caught up in some shit that they didn't have anything to do with either. Because the same way that I didn't have anything to do with it, the only reason I got brought up into the mess was because I was doing community work, trying to help the youth. Ain't that some shit? That's the only reason that I got caught up in anything. So you say, well, Cash, why didn't you just take it to trial? I was fucking terrified to take it to trial, because in the hood, you learn one thing. When the feds got you, they got you. And I remember talking to Roadrunner. I came to Roadrunner for advice because I was fucking nervous, man. And I told him my situation, and he was like, man, bro, he told me his story, because he took it to trial, and he sat in, what was it, like 4 years or some shit like that, I forget how many years he sat in there trying to fight it. And I'm like, man, I can't do that. I can't be away from my family. That's all I kept thinking about was my family. And I can't, if I really wanted to get out of it, what I could have did was just turn on everybody. And I would have been fine. They told me this. They said, if you give us this name, this name, this name, this name, this name, we will give you immunity. You won't have to worry. You won't even have a case. And that sounded like a sweet deal, but my uncle told me that you don't do something that you can't look at yourself in the mirror and be okay with you. So I couldn't do that to my friends. I couldn't do that to them because, number one, that's wrong. If you do something, you take the weight of it, 100%. If I would have done any of the things, well, the thing that I was accused of, if I would have been in a conspiracy for selling narcotics for these people, I would have took that, 100%. Because that's just what it is. You know, I've taken a gun rap for somebody that was my close friend because he had 2 strikes and I wanted him to see his son be born. So I'm like, I'm not letting him go to jail, right? But for this, I'm like, I can't see myself doing time for people that first off hate me and I don't like them and they're lying on me. They're trying to get their time cut short, right? All of them are trying to get a time cut by telling lies about me because they were asked about me. The same way that the feds try to ask me about the people that they didn't get, that they couldn't get because they needed me to be the one to bring them in. And I wouldn't do it. Okay? But they did. These niggas that was locked up did. Not all of them. The ones that did what they did. They told on me. And I'm not even going to get to say their names because I forgive them. I'm cool with some of them to this day. Ironically enough, I forgave them and like, hey, man, it is what it is, bro. God got a reason for everything. I forgive you. Just do good in life. That's it. But they brought me into some shit that I had nothing to do with. I couldn't see myself doing that to my guys. Now, I was supposed to get house arrest, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking like, shit, okay, I'm cool. They know I didn't have anything to do with none of this. So I'm going to get house arrest. Hell no. No, that's not what happened at all. Because when I blew up on social media and became this big presence online and I'm into politics now and, you know, I'm making all this money and, you know, I got all this stuff going on. I'm traveling around the country and the court, the judge is letting me leave, fly over here to this place, to this state, to this city and get on stage and talk. And they're impressed with me. They are impressed with me. To the point where they're like, man, bro, you're a model citizen, right? Fucking January 6th comes around. I call my lawyer, tell my lawyer, like how I normally would, hey, I'm going over here. I'm going to DC for this event, the J6 rally. He says, okay, I'll put it in to the PO and get back to you and let you know. I said, okay. He never told the PO. Or he did, or somebody's lying because he told me I could go. My lawyer, he said the PO said you're good, you could go. I go to DC. When I go to DC, I go to the Capitol. I don't hit nobody. I saved 3 police officers from getting their asses whooped. I tried to get the police to help the guy that had a heart attack. I didn't break anything. I didn't steal anything. I ain't do nothing. I was just there. I had one small nigga moment. I won't lie to you about it. I got by the statue on the little pedestal that it sits on and put my thumbs up and took a picture and was just talking about how proud I am to be an American and how red, white, black, blue, everybody done came together to tell the government that they not going to do this shit or whatever I said. I said something crazy, but truthful. It was real. I meant it. And then I go back to my hotel and then I go home. And then I get a phone call. And it's my lawyer. He's like, yo, you got to go turn yourself in. Because mind you, I'm still on pretrial release. I say, why? What I do? He said, I don't know what the fuck you did, but you were at January 6th and they're calling me saying that they're going to come pick you up if you don't turn yourself in. I said, all right. So I go turn myself in. And when I go turn myself in, the feds come. And when the feds come, they sit me down and they're like, so you went to January 6th? I'm like, yeah, I had permission to go. They said, do you know these people? Started pointing out. I said, I don't know none of these people. They said, were you paid to be there? I said, no, I wasn't paid to be there. I just went. This is what I do. I got a social media following, and I went to January 6th because I wanted to document what was going on there, as well as I wanted to stand on my rights. I wanted to peacefully protest. I wanted to protest against this fraudulent election, and I wanted to make my voice heard. And they said, did you see any military there? I said, yeah, it was military there. It was everybody that was there. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of people there. They said, okay, but you weren't specifically hired to go to this event. I'm like, no. This is the stuff that I wanted to talk about when I first came home from prison, but I was still on probation and I didn't know, my freedom. Now I'm free. I'm off probation, off everything. So we can talk about all of this because it's done. And they take me back to my cell. Go back to my cell. I'm in there talking with the guys, and they see me, my face up on the CNN. They had me on CNN. All right, we in there watching the news. They got me up there on the thing with the flag and Jan 6 domestic terrorist, insurrectionist, all these things. They put me on the news out here. Chicago man. I'm not from Chicago. Oh no, it said Chicago Latin King. That's what it said. After everything I just told you guys, I've been out the gang since I was 21 years old. 21. At the time of all of this happening, I am 32? 32 years old. 32 years old. Chicago Latin King arrested for storming nation's capital. Newspaper article. Violent Latin King domestic terrorist storms nation's capital. So now, all these people who I'm in here with are like, you a Latin King? I'm like, nah, I ain't no Latin King. I used to be. I'm an activist. This is what I do, bro. I keep kids away from gangs. I don't get down with none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And they respected it. Every single person I ran into, and they were all ops. I was the only person who was a Latin King that was in the pods that I was in. Never checked in, not once. I stayed in every single unit that they put me in, right? And they like, damn, bro. So this is what it switched. As soon as they asked if I was Latin King, I said, no, man, I'm an activist. They say, man, for real, you was in that Capitol shit? And it switched up. My name all the way through prison, they didn't even call me Cash. They called me J6. They're like, oh, J6, you hungry? You know what I'm saying? And everybody was cool with me. I'm sick inside because I'm like, I just want to go home. I don't want to be around this shit. It's like I was back in the hood. I was back in the hood in every single place that I went. And yeah, I stayed there and went for sentencing. And it sucked because you got to go through 2 weeks of quarantine when you go out. At this time, it's still COVID. 2 weeks of quarantine when you go to prison and come back. I'm glad. This is the only time that I was glad that I was quarantined, y'all. Because I went to sentencing in February of 2021, February 11th, for the conspiracy case that I told you all about. And I go in front of this judge. And the judge ripped me up, man, at sentencing. Made me feel this small because on the paper that was in front of me when they were looking, and this was messed up because this was not the sentencing report. They switched everything. When I talked to the dude, Sonny, who did my sentencing report, this is what Sonny told me before all of this shit, before January 6th. He said, after I told him my story, he said, wow, because I told him about my childhood. I ain't told you guys all about my childhood. But this dude was all but crying because I was honest. He was all but crying. He goes, for you going through everything that you've been through in life, you are a very functional human being. You're an amazing father and you're an amazing man. And don't let your past and the thing you've never let the past and the things that you've been through keep you from becoming the great man that you are. I've never heard a story like yours. Sonny told me that. And it made me feel good. And it brought a tear to my eye, when he said it, because I had never told anybody my whole story. You know what I'm saying? All the things that happened to me. And he told me he was going to write the sentencing report and that he hopes that it softens the judge at sentencing for me. Fast forward The sentencing report was fucking horrible. It was horrible. It made me look like a monster. It made me look like Al Capone. It made me look like Scarface. It made me look like a straight gangster. And I worked so hard to get that name off me, that street name, that, King Taz, King Cujo. I tried so hard to get that name behind me. And he switched that report because of January 6th. All because of January 6th, it switched how they perceived me. Comeback story, and they're all liberal. Comeback story of this man, this black man that overcame so much adversity and switched his life. Hold on, wait a minute. This nigga was at the Capitol. He's a Trump supporter? And they switched it up. So the judge went crazy on me. He gave me some praise as far as saying I'm a remarkable young man and I seem like I'm really well intended and all of these things. But I hadn't learned not to be a criminal anymore. Because I protested. I didn't have one problem when I was on pretrial release. Hadn't been arrested, hadn't violated, hadn't failed a drug test, employed. And because of a criminal complaint, said I hadn't learned not to be a criminal anymore. That's still on the paper right now. You can go and read it. I hadn't learned to not exhibit criminal behavior. And it shit messed me up. It messed me up. And it made me so angry towards the government. Like, put hate in me towards the government. Because I'm like, these fucking people lie. They lie. My lawyer, I feel like, set me up. Because he's seen how active I was in the movement, in the MAGA movement. I was huge. I was a huge fucking force in the MAGA movement in 2020. And I was black. And I was traveling. And everybody loved me. I was uniting black people and white people and talking to people about political issues, all types of shit. I was in the hood registering fucking Crips and Bloods to vote. I met Rockhead, shout out Rockhead OG. I met Kenny G of the Crenshaw, that started the Crenshaw Mafia. You know what I'm saying? I sat with all these people, Mama Boo Boo. I was out there talking with people. Wiz, Spit, Sight, all of those brothers out there from California. I went through Chicago with Chicago Red, with P. Ray, Deontay Johnson, marching the streets, handing out book bags, talking to people about who they're going to vote for. We did the little parties, the fish fries. I was on the news, Fox and fucking OAN and you know, all of that. Newspaper articles. Millions of people knowing my name, doing radio shows, doing podcasts. Put me on the Trump campaign. They used my little set, one of my little set, videos for his Trump campaign. They considered me a part of the Trump campaign. And they did at court too. So instead of me getting house arrest, because the judge says that he cannot ignore this and that he can't operate in a vacuum, the man gave me 48 months in the BOP instead of house arrest. 4 years in the BOP. My heart dropped literally to my ass because all I'm thinking about is how the fuck am I going to make it in prison without resorting back to who I used to be? I'm going to have to go back to being Taz, Cujo. I'm going to have to dig deep and become treacherous again. But my resolve was strong. And I told him in the courtroom, well, I just want y'all to know that I'm never joining a gang again. Even if I got to go through prison, I'll just die because I'm never joining a gang again. I'm just not. I'm not clicking up. I'm not going back to throwing up the crown. I'm not getting down with none of that shit when I go to prison. I said, all right, well, there's programs for that. Okay. Fast forward, see, it gets deeper. And this is why I always tell you guys, I feel like my life has just been one big bad fucking movie. Just a nightmare with many blessings in it, but a nightmare. So I go back to my cell. 2 weeks. I got to sit inside of, quarantine, which is a cell by yourself. You can't come out. You can only go take a shower and all of that. And as soon as I got back to my cell, y'all, I broke down, bro. I broke down like I hadn't broke down in a long, long, long time because all I'm thinking is I can't see my kids for 4 years. And now I even got another case that I got to go and deal with. And it messed me up. I still got to deal with January 6th. I just got sentenced because of January 6th effectively. But now I got to get sentenced again for whatever they're going to try to throw at me. So I ended up, and all the guys, when I get back in the population after the 2 weeks, I'm telling them what's going on. And they're like, damn, bro, that's messed up. They say, man, you lucky though. You only got the 4 years, you know? I'm like, yeah, it could be worse, I guess. And it's like, yeah. So they say, are you, what's the thing that they got against you from DC? I say, I don't know. It's just a criminal complaint. They looked at me like I was crazy. They said, a criminal complaint. If you just got sentenced, that should be thrown out. Unless it's going to carry more time than what you just got. If the offense, normally they just throw that out, bro. And he was like, man, they fucking with you. This dude done been through the system twice. He goes, yeah, they fucking with you, bro. They fucking with you heavy. I said, yeah. What can I do, though? He said, you can't do shit. You're just going to have to take that ride. I said, all right, yeah, you're right. And he was schooling me about, everything when I get to prison and how it's going to be and my offense level. He goes, bro, you're a low. They going to send you to a low. It was like, you ain't got no criminal history. You going to a low for sure. I'm like, I hope so. So we get to going. I go to Oklahoma, Cimarron. I go to Cimarron. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the judge said that they got programs for stuff like that, and then he'll put it in my report that I'm supposed to go to a program because I don't want to be in a gang, which is supposed to be a dropout yard, right? A gang dropout program is what it was called. They got a gang dropout program. So I'm thinking like, okay, I'll be all right. They was still fucking with me. Now, in my mind, I don't know this. I didn't know this at the time. I'm thinking that everybody that's around me is going to be people that, cooperated or got something to where they can't go on a regular yard and all. They didn't put that shit in my report, or they ignored it because they put me on active yards. Everywhere that I went, transit, everything, all the way until I got to my last spot where Derek Chauvin got stabbed at. That was the last spot that I went to, which was considered a gang dropout yard, which was the worst yard that I was on, ironically enough. But they sent me to Cimarron. When I get to Cimarron, I'm thinking in my mind, okay, I'm going to be around people. No, first they sent me to MCC. They sent me to MCC first, Chicago. And as soon as I get there, they take me and they put me in segregation. And when I asked them why, I asked if I could speak to somebody higher up. Some dude with a bunch of stripes said, you're a high profile case. You're one of those January 6 guys, right? I said, yeah. He said, this is for your own safety. We have to keep you segregated. I'm like, bro, I'll be all right. Like, I don't want to be locked inside the cell. So it's not about what you want. Like, you're a January 6er. You should be lucky that, like, he starts going in. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is that serious to people. I'm in segregation inside of MCC by myself, talking to murderers across from me that were in there because of whatever it was that they did. Trying to make my way, I'm playing chess through the door with this dude named Mike from Detroit that murders people. And we just talking. I'm talking to him about life and just playing chess and, 2 weeks go by, I get out of there. Now I go to Cimarron. When I go to Cimarron, ain't no quarantine. It's the Wild West. General population right off the bat. And they bunked me up with I don't know who. I forget who my first bunkie was. I don't even remember. No, matter of fact, didn't have no bunkie. It was still quarantine. So we were still in our cells for a short amount of time, but we were out like for 5 hours or something. They had it different. It was different. But it was cool because I'm in there, I get commissary, I'm talking with people, and the news is going, and I'm just praying to God, like, God, please don't let it pop up on here, anything about being a Latin king that stormed the nation's capital. That's my prayer to God, you know? And it didn't, thank God. It didn't come up. Everybody was watching just other things than the news, which I was so grateful for. And I made some real cool friends in there, met a lot of people. And it was dope. Like, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can make it through this, you know? The one guy that I had came in with, Bilal, that's who it was, Bilal. We go into this place and he's a Muslim dude. And there was another dude from Houston that left from MCC with us. It was just crazy. But we all kicked it together. We all talked together inside of there. But Bilal, Rob taught me, he goes, I'm gonna show you what prison's like. This nigga grabs the white kid down on the bottom and tells him, come here. And so dude comes over to him. We're standing in the middle of the damn, these are the hugest dormitories that I've ever been in inside of Cimarron. And he goes, man, those shoes are nice, man. He talked like in New York. He say, hey, yo, son, those shoes is nice, man. What size is those? He's like, 9. He's like, those are 9. Let me see. Take one off. Let me see it. So dude's hesitant. He takes it off. He already knows what time it is. He looks at the tag. He goes, you lied to me. You lied. Let me see the other one. He takes the other one, looks. He puts them on. These are my shoes now. Get the fuck out of here. I'm like, yo. And me not being a gangbanger and not having a heart like that no more is like, I'm like, yo, Bilal, bro, get that nigga his shoes back, man. Don't do him like that. Yeah, man, fuck that nigga, man. If he really wanted to keep him, he wouldn't have gave him to me. He goes, if he would have not gave him to me, if he would have said no, I wouldn't have done shit. But somebody got to play jail. That's what he said. He said, I would have never took him if he wouldn't have given him. So it taught me a lesson. Don't give anything up that, nigga, you be willing to fight for everything. That's what that taught me. Be willing to say no and fight for everything. So I'm like, okay, you know, and he took that boy's shoes, but I convinced him to at least give him the sandals that he had on. He had on the shower shoes. He said, man, give him your shower shoes. He gave him the shower shoes. So time progresses. I'm talking, trying to figure things out, and then we get our transfer of where we're going. They did when you get your temperature taken, you know you're going. So I tell him I'm going to D.C. He goes, oh, son. Oh, you going to D.C.? Oh, son, you better get your blicky ready. I'm like, what the fuck is your blicky? He's like, nigga, you better get you a knife as soon as you get there, son. No bullshit. Get you a knife. All right? You get you a knife, son. You're going to need it. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? I'm tripping a little bit. Not showing it, but inside I'm like, oh my God, where are they sending me? So I go to DC, and we watch the news inside of Cimarron, right? The news had popped up on whatever channel they was watching. The whites had the news on, and it showed the Oath Keepers and talked about all the white supremacists that are getting sent to DC DOC. I'm like, oh shit. I say, man, they gonna put me in the DC DOC with all the white supremacists. And in my mind, I'm like, it's gonna go down. Like, I'm gonna have to get down when I get there. I get there. Well, off the plane, off of Con Air. That's what I call it, Con Air. When I'm going on Con Air, I see Alex. Like, I seen Alex on Con Air. And it was funny because I'm trying to joke. So I'm shackled all the way up, sitting on this airplane. And I say, hey, man, I said, they got Nick Cage on here, bro. We gonna be straight, bro. We on Con Air with Nick Cage. And he starts cracking up, and come to find out he's a J6er just like me. So I'm starting to see, it's like, oh shit, it's more of us in transit. Okay, this is cool. And he seems like a good guy. He didn't seem like he had a harmless bone in his body. Seemed cool. Get off the plane. And Kelly Meggs is on this bus. Myself, Ronnie Sandlin, and that was it. for the J6ers. And there was 2 other people on, 3, 4, 5 other people on there. So we're on the bus and Kelly Meggs looks back. And I remember this shit vividly. He goes, "Hey, man, you're a J6er?" I say, "Yeah, man, I'm a J6er." He goes, "Me too. Kelly Meggs, Oath Keeper." I'm like, "Oh, shit." I'm with one of the guys they said is a white supremacist. So me and him start chopping it up. And I'm like, this motherfucker is not a white supremacist. He's funny and he's cool. So me and Kelly hit it off right away. Ronnie's like, "Yeah, man, I'm a J6er too, bro. And I've just never been locked up." And we just get to going and I get to fucking with Ronnie. I get to messing with Ronnie. And I'm telling him like, "Hey, man, like it's gonna be bad in here, bros. And these motherfuckers, they gonna try you, bro. You got," and I'm messing with him. Ronnie is freaking the fuck out on the bus. Ronnie's freaking out and it's wrong, but I'm just having a good time because I'm like, yo, we're all in this really shitty situation, so we got to have a laugh. The dudes in the back of us, there's 3 brothers in the back, and I'm asking him what to expect when we get to DC DOC, and he's like, there's one dude that was like from London. He was a black dude from London. "Hey, Tracy, how y'all doing?" I see the comments, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm going to get to you. This black dude's from London, and he's like, I say, "Man, what's it like over there in DC DOC?" He's, "Man, it's Hot Brick Hotel. It's the Hot Brick Hotel." And the other dudes start laughing, and that's when I seen the lingo that they use. The DC guys, he's like, "Man, Slim, shit, man. This shit ain't that bad, man. Fuck it. It's DC DOC. Slim, you black, nigga. You gonna be all right, Slim. I don't know about the white one. They might have a fucking tough time, Slim, but you good. You on your revolutionary shit too. You was at that Capitol shit, son. You gonna be fine." That's what they was telling me. Oh, okay. So they might look at me like a hero in there because I was on some rebel stuff. Okay. Well, we get there. These 3 guys is pissed now because they had to come back with us because they didn't get the second COVID shot, so they couldn't get on the plane to get transferred. So they go back. Instantly, we see what jail's like. These 3 dudes start talking shit to the guards. They're like, "Man, bitch, I'll beat your motherfucking ass, Slim." They going off, right? And I'm like, "Oh, shit. Okay. It's turning up in here." They threatening the COs. COs saying, "I'll beat you, mace your ass, sit your bitch ass down." And it's just going down. So they made them all chill when the female staff came. The female staff sergeant, she checked everybody. So, "What the fuck are y'all talking about over here? Shut your ass up." And she's acting like they are her sons. And I'm like, damn, okay. Okay, I see what it's like here. Me and Kelly and Ronnie, we just sitting there. We're like, what the fuck's going on, man? Where are we going? They take us into this room. They go give us these little trays with some food in it. It was like 2, 3 in the morning by the time we got there. We go in and they take us into C2A. And we seen all these faces just looking out the doors in C2A. Everybody just looking out the door. I say, why is everybody inside? I'm thinking, okay, it's late. That's why everybody's inside. They throw us in them damn cells. I'm thinking we're going to come out in the morning because that's what it was like in Cimarron. They're going to let you out for a couple hours. You go back in, you come back out, then you go back in. I say, hey, man, what time we come out? They say, you won't come out. You ain't coming out. So what you mean we ain't coming out? They say, nah, man, you locked down. 23-1. I said, what the fuck? I said, for what? They say, quarantine. I'm like, okay. So I figure, okay, after the 2 weeks, fuck it, we'll be all right. 2 weeks inside C2A. We were at a commissary. They had a tablet. The guards start giving me the tablet every day because I'm black. I'm the only black dude inside of this pod. They start giving me the tablet every day, and it starts causing issues because Ryan's pissed off that he ain't getting the tablet. And this is some fucking bullshit. It's fucking giving him the tablet. And so I'm like, yo, I say, he's a Marine. I say, yo, bro, you served? He's like, yeah. I say, here, man. And I had them pass the tablet to Ryan. So I wasn't trying to not share the tablet, but I didn't know who was who yet. I'm trying to figure out if I got any white supremacists around me. And we end up talking through doors, and everybody ends up seeming cool. And you hear Mellis down there, fucking Mellis losing his mind. I'm talking about freaking out. I'm like, they got a crazy. There's the crazy person. I found out who the crazy person was. He's losing it through the door, screaming racial shit about Black Lives Matter and you fucking black. I'm like, yo. I go walk down there one day when I'm coming out the shower. I say, bro, that's how you feel? He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I'm not racist. I swear. I'm just so fucking, I'm going fucking crazy. And he's losing it. So I'm like, all right, this guy's all right. He's just losing it, being locked in, and he seems very hyper. So he's cool. So anyway, we end up going. 2 weeks later, they move us into C2B. I'm like, we gonna be out. We gonna be out. Nope. Back to lockdown, just in another unit. Like, what the fuck is the difference? Why are we still locked down? We all quarantined. Nobody is sick. Why aren't we able to come out of our cells? This persisted for months that we were in here. I ended up getting on detail. So I ended up being able to come out, but also had more access. So I would be on the phone more. I would be on the tablet more. So I would start sending messages out. Because at this time, nobody's able to get shit shaken in here. Comes to be around June. May, June, it starts to get really, really hot. The COs treated everybody like shit. Except for me. They was cool with me for the most part because I was black. And I didn't like how they was treating the guys inside there. And I really felt messed up for Lonnie. Oh, before I keep going, I gotta say, I walked past Shane and Peter Schwartz. Shout out to Peter Schwartz and Shane Jenkins, and freaked me out, man. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, there's just white supremacists in here. You know what I'm saying? They look like they had to look, bro. Like, I'm like, oh shit. I see the tattoos. I'm like, oh man, it's about to. There's for real white supremacists in here, man. End up talking to Shane, and me and Shane hit it off. And we just got tight, man. Me and Pete even hit it off. We had our ups and downs in there. But solid dude. And nobody ended up being a white supremacist. I walked past Mike Curzio. That's my dog. Love Mike Curzio to death. Shout out to Mike Curzio. He had the damn Thunderbolts or whatever. He had that racist shit. He had that racist tattoo on him. Or the white supremacy tattoo on him. And he's like, bro, I swear to God, I'm not a racist. I had to get this. I was in prison in Florida. I'm like, yo, I understand. He goes, but I'm not fucking racist, bro. I'm not. I swear to God. I'm like, I get it. I understand, brother. It's cool. So me and Mike ended up becoming tight. That was my dog when we were in there. And me and Ryan got real tight. That was my dog. Like, a lot of guys ended up being real dope. Like, they were nothing like what the media had said. Kenny Harrison, Ryan Nichols, Bobby, Machine Gun Bobby. I love that dude. That's my guy. The originals, man. All of us, I call us the original OG J6ers because we was the ones that was in it in the beginning when things were really hard and they was doing some really foul stuff to us. So anyway, fast forward, I'm out more because I'm on detail and I got access to the phones and the tablets a lot more. I always had a tablet. And I start sending messages out. And I sent the message out that they weren't turning the heat on. They was kind of torturing us. They already was talking shit to us all the time, leaving us locked in the cells and just really, really messing with people. And I had them start calling up to DC DOC when I still had a lot of people paying attention on my Streetlights Unity Movement page. And it went fucking viral. And they got so many phone calls to DC DOC because of you guys. I appreciate you. That the sergeant had to come in and say, Cash, I don't know what the fuck you did, but I'm going to need you to call your people and tell them that we're turning the AC on right now. Okay? And just tell them to please stop calling. We can't get any phone calls coming through because it's all these people calling and complaining about how we're treating you guys. I said, yes, sir. I'll let them know. I call, tell them, hey, it worked. Put out a post and let everybody know that it worked and they can stop calling DC, but I appreciate them. They turned the air on. So then I figured something out at that point. I said I could get things to happen inside of here using the people out there by letting them know what's going on in here. And I told the guys what happened and they're like, fuck yeah. Like, I remember Ryan was like fucking yelling through the door like, good shit, Cash, yeah, fuck yeah. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, it was pretty dope. It was pretty dope. And yeah, so we kept doing that. Anytime something happened, I noted it and put it out into the airwaves. But when it really took off was when I think it was Tim Hale that it got me Julie Kelly's contact, I believe. Or maybe he sent I sent the text out. And Tim, I think it was Tim. I'm pretty sure it was Tim. Tim, remind me if I'm wrong, bro, if it was you or not. That got me Julie Kelly's contact when we first got that contact. And I sent her the text messages from the tablet about what was going on inside of there and how they were threatening people, how Holmes was, treating, running in Scottsdale and just Scott Fairland too. Shout out to Scott Fairland. That's my dog. how they ran in my cell, how I got into it with Hayes and they locked me in, tried to remove me off detail because I told them I'll beat his bitch ass and all of that. And they threatening to kill us. They threatening to kill me, saying, "Oh, you with these motherfuckers? We will take you over there and let the brothers know that you with them, and they'll kill you." And then I'm like, okay. And now I'm just at this point, I'm getting to the point where I'm just like, I don't even care anymore, bro. Whatever, it's whatever. I'm not going back to who I was, but at the same time, I'm not as calm as I was when I first, like how I was in the world. I was getting to the point where I'm ready to fight a guard. I might hit one of these people, and things started to change because everybody started to do it. When I pushed the issue about us being on lockdowns, that was the main thing. I pushed the first time. I pushed the issue on the lockdowns and told them what was going on and how the rest of the jail was let out and the COVID restrictions are over and we're still on lockdown. And Julie Kelly wrote a damn piece on it, and it caused a firestorm. And that was when we got let out for 2 hours instead of 1, 2 hours at a time. And then when that happened, everybody started hitting up contacts. I got to give it to, John Mellis, Tim Hale, Ryan Nichols. Yeah, that's the main three. The main three that was really pushing people on the outside. It became like a battle zone, though, between like John and Tim, because John was getting jealous about Tim being, having bigger connections and helping out more people and all of that. And it became this big old battle. So John was just turned into a fucking disaster while we were locked up. And yeah, things started to change big time. So fast forward, after all of that, we're locked in here. I'm there for 1.5 years. And they wouldn't let me take a plea. They wouldn't let me plead guilty. They wouldn't let me get a speedy trial. They wouldn't let me do none of that. I just wanted to get the fuck out of here at this point because I've been with these guys for so long that I'm sick of them. Not all of them. Like, my guys were my guys, but I'm sick of the energy, between a lot of the dudes, because it wasn't like prison. It became more like a torture room where you're not physical torture, but mental torture, because you got to be locked up with people that are crazy as hell, over entitled, Jake Langs, like it just got to be too much, which I had to put my hands on Jake Lang when I was in there. That was one that I had to touch him because he just got to be too much. I had to put him down. And then so I ended up getting the hell out of here after being sentenced finally by Boasberg. And look at what Boasberg did to me. Okay. Mind you, my charges for January 6th was trespassing at the end of the day, violent entry, and disturbing Congress while in session. Boiled down to trespassing, a misdemeanor that carried 6 months. I sat for 1 year and 6 months inside a DC DOC amongst pretrial detainees as a convicted felon, because I just got sentenced in 2021 February and convicted, right, of conspiracy. I shouldn't even have been there, but they had me there, which was, I feel like, God's doing. That was God, because if I hadn't have been there, all the brothers will tell you this. The CO said, had I not been there, they would have went way harder on them. They would have treated that, and they already treated us like shit. I can imagine what they would have did had I not been there, being the black guy that they identified with and didn't want to do, like how they would have did them crackers, as they said. That's what they said, the COs. But I finally get up out of there. And when I get up out of there, I am, let me tell you what Boasberg did. He gave me 30 days consecutive and 30 days concurrent to run. One of them ran with the time that I had already gotten. The other one added another month. So altogether, I got 51 months, right, on my sentence. 51 months. And the reason why he did that was because he did not want me to get the First Step Act. That's what I believe. It didn't work out like that. They tried to play me. It didn't work out like that. So when I go to prison, now I'm already been locked up for so long, and I got to go back to Cimarron. When I go through Cimarron this time, there's no restrictions. Everybody's just out all day, literally. And the guy that they put me with was my guy Dre from Detroit. Now in my mind, I'm worried because I'm like, okay, I know how this shit's supposed to work. If you go to anything above a low, they're going to check your paperwork. And my paperwork got a 5K1 in it. And a 5K1 means that you were willing to cooperate. Not that you testified, not that you told on anybody specifically, but that you were willing to cooperate, which is a no-go in prison. So I'm worried. I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know how I'm going to work around this. I'm not checking in. I'm like, I'm just going to fight. That's how I'm thinking in my mind. So I get to the Cimarron, and I start talking to the dudes around me, and everybody's cool. They say, yeah, man, we knew you was coming, bro. You the J6er. I'm like, how you knew I was coming? They say, man, we work over in the laundry, bro. So we already know who's coming through, and we seen your stuff. We seen that you a J6er. They say you like a high profile inmate. I'm like, for real? They say, yeah. So I'm thinking, do they know about the 5K1? They never mentioned it. I'm on an active they put me in an active yard. I'm thinking I'm going to, and I asked my lawyer, I say, am I going to a gang dropout program when I leave DC? They said, yeah, no, you're going to be fine. They're going to put you in a gang dropout and you're going to be good. I said, okay. So I'm thinking that's where I'm going, but it wasn't. And I still didn't know this at the time. I'm thinking maybe they didn't bring it up to me when he's telling me about me being a J6er, because this is actually a drop. I'm around a whole bunch of people that dropped out the gangs, that want to do like I'm trying to just better their life, right? No, that wasn't the situation. I was around Bloods, Crips, Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Circle, Latin Kings, GDs, Vice Lords, Blackstones. I was around everybody. But when you're going through transit, it breaks off separately. So it breaks off into race first and then gangs. So with the blacks, but I didn't tell nobody that I used to be a Latin King. They said, you in a gang? I said, nah, man, I'm an activist, bro. I told the truth. I didn't lie to nobody. I told the truth. I'm not a part of a gang. I'm an activist. I wasn't a part of a gang, and I was an activist. And I'm a father, and that's what I told them. I say, man, I'm just on man time. I'm just trying to get home. They say, all right, but where you from? I say, I'm from the Midwest. They say, where at? I say, Indiana. He said, all right, yeah, you with the Midwest card then, bro, over there. There's your people. When I went to the black. So I hung out with all the brothers from Indiana, Chicago, Indianapolis, all of that. That was a squad. I get to talking with them, and they're like, yeah, bro, you wild as shit, man. You was out there with all them white folks and J6 and da-da-da-da-da. And that's all anybody ever wanted to talk about was January 6th. And I became grateful that they just kept January 6th in the news all the time, but didn't really say names unless it was like the Oath Keepers or Proud Boys, because it kept it relevant in the minds of the people that I'm around. They think like, yo, you a revolutionary. So they looked at me with love, bro. It was just a good time. It was prison, but it wasn't bad like how I pictured it. But it still had its politics. So while I'm there, there was this blood named Money or Dollar. Some shit. It was Money. I think it was Money. He was from Dallas. He was a blood doing life. He ended up robbing another blood for his weed. He had like $400 worth of weed. And because I don't have that criminal mind frame anymore, right? I'm thinking in my mind like, yo, this is fucking wrong, bro. You don't steal from people. And I can't keep this to myself, because he came to my cell and told me about it because he wants to be cool with me, because they look at me like I'm some type of celebrity in this fucking place. And I'm like, bro, you wrong, man. You need to get that back. This nigga looked at me like, man, I ain't giving this shit back, nigga. Just fuck that. He lost it. Finders keepers. I'm like, I can't hang around somebody like this. I said, all right, man, you got it. Well, I'm finna go to bed, bro. He leaves. Next day, I go to the old head who's the head of the black car, and I'm like, look, bro, I ain't trying to start no shit. But this nigga rock, because I'm watching the little dude looking for his weed, and he's getting like upset to where he's gonna crash out. And I'm like, bro, he got dude's weed, bro. He came to and told me that he found it, he dropped it, da-da-da-da-da. So he's like, you did the right thing, bro. We don't steal from our own, and da-da-da-da-da. It's like that. He knows better than that. You don't steal from your own. Nah, fuck that. We calling him a meeting. I'm like, damn. So I go back to Dre. He's from Detroit. And I'm like, bro, I don't know shit about this prison politics stuff, bro. I'm like, man, I told the nigga that he took the weed because he came to my cell. He said, bro, you didn't do nothing wrong. You did right. You don't let Where's rules, bro? You don't steal from your own people. And I'm like, yeah, that's real. He goes, you did right by going to bro. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're supposed to do. You stood on that. We gonna go to this meeting. He gives me the little books and shit and just tucks them in. Got me a knife. I'm like, shit. Okay. So I got a knife because it might go down, and I'm like, I might have to stab this nigga, or he might stab me, you know. And I took it all down deep, bro, real deep. I wrapped up this arm with towels and all types of shit, and you could see it all through the jumpsuit. You know what I'm saying? So everybody knew I was in there ready on battle mode, and dude came the same way. And I'm like, okay, here we go. All these blacks were in the TV room. And when we're in the TV room, the old heads start speaking about the issue. The little dude comes forward, or Money comes forward. Dallas comes forward. Dallas comes forward and he's like, man, I ain't take shit from nobody, man. Nigga, you know I didn't steal from you, bro. And he's like, who the fuck said that I stole from him? And I came forward. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but I came forward and I just went in the mode and I'm like, nigga, I told him that you stole from him because you told me that you stole from him, nigga, last night, and that shit's foul. We don't move like that. And I start talking like, he's like, nigga, I didn't, bruh. Nigga, he goes, fuck all that. The old dude goes, fuck all that. He goes, little nigga, to the young blood, he goes, you want to do something about it? And he was like, nah, man. Because that's one of his bloods. He's like, nah, man. And then Money's like, you want to do something about it? He's like, do something about what? I didn't do shit. He's playing dumb. It was like, well, then it's done. It ain't really got shit to do with this, brother. He just came and told what you said. He goes, man, I say, doubt. I went right up to him. I say, swear on everything, nigga, you didn't come to my cell and tell me that. And he goes, man, I'm done with this shit, bro. I'm done. And he walked out. So everybody knew that he stole. Everybody knew that this dude was soft and didn't want to do nothing about it. They said I was the only one that stood and did right. Now, I was fucking terrified. Do you hear me, bro? I've been in shootouts and I've been in a lot of brawls, but knives, I don't like knives, bro. It probably hurts really bad when you get stabbed. I didn't want to feel that. I've seen somebody get stabbed in the fucking eyeball while I was locked up, and it's got green stuff in it that comes out. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever want to get stabbed, especially in the eye. So after that, I'm like, I'm on high alert. And all the Midwest guys was like, bro, from now on, how we moving through here until we get up out of here, we finna watch. Have somebody by the door when you take a shower. I'm like, all right, that's what it was. Like, we took rotations on when we taking showers. You gonna stand here, you gonna stand here, you gonna hold this, and that's what it was. Because we didn't know what was up now, because even though it's the black car, Midwest now got something going on with the Bloods. Even if it don't turn into nothing, you got to be ready for it. And I'm learning all this shit. And I'm like, so, dang, but I learned a valuable lesson. And it didn't register in my mind until later. It's like, they told me that I did the right thing for going to the authority figure in the pod of blacks, right? About somebody that committed a crime. Here I am amongst a bunch of criminals who know how to follow the damn law. You know what I'm saying? And I was even in there like, I'm the only nigga in here willing to follow the law on the outside, you know? And it felt fucked up. My mind was just like thinking about all these things. And I'm like, how is this shit even reality? You know what I mean? And yeah, so anyway, that happened. And then they come get my temperature like 2-3 days later, and I'm out of there. I'm out of there and I'm going to prison. I'm headed to prison. Now I'm like, okay, I got a feel for, oh, and by the way, that wasn't the only crazy shit that happened. The Aryan Brotherhood, no, the Aryan Circle. The Aryan Circle, I'll never forget this. When the new guys came in, this little white dude, bro, little cocky white dude. And they were just big old bald-headed, muscular, tattoos, everything, like American history X'd out, bro. Cool as hell. A nice guy. You know what I'm saying? We spoke in passing and all of that. We didn't really like congregate, but the people that was supposed to be racist, like the Aryan Brotherhood and Aryan Circle people, they didn't hate niggas when we was in there. They didn't hate Mexicans. They didn't hate nobody. They just, I guess, don't believe in race mixing, which is crazy. But they came up to talk to me because they're like, you're J6er, right? I'm like, yeah. They go, good fucking shit, man. Had I been out there, if I was still in the free world, I would have been right there with you. And I'm like, fuck. I kid you not. I'm like, shit. Yo, this is crazy. This big ass dude, Aryan Brotherhood. He was like, bro, just, you did your thing, man. Good for you, brother. And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, holy shit. It was crazy, bro. It was crazy. But anyway, I get moved up out of there. Oh, and they raped that young dude that came in there. That's what I meant to tell you guys. The big dude. They went and took this boy inside this cell, literally drug him in this cell. He's trying not to go, but don't want to make a scene and call the COs. Everybody's out smoking weed, standing on the deck, smoking weed and rolling up. And it was like literally like I was in the projects, bro, with every race. It was fucking wild. All right. But yeah, they take that little dude in there for about 20 minutes. My man came back out. I kid you not, felt my heart broke for this kid. My heart broke for him. I don't know what he was in there for, but you can't get involved. If it's not your race when you're in that setting in the transit, then you can't get involved in shit. You can't say nothing. That boy came out. He looked sweaty, tired, and he just walked like limping and leaned over the rail, bro, like pondering if he was gonna jump or not. And they came out and was just like grabbing him and just like, it's all right, man. You're all right. Come on, buck up. You're a fucking man. You're fine. Da-da-da. I'm like, whoa. Holy shit. And it blew my mind. So in my mind, I'm thinking, this is gang dropouts. I didn't know. In my mind, I'm still thinking that I didn't know that I was in an active setting. Okay? I'm in an active setting. This is an active yard. All of them are gangbangers still. Still not registering to me. I'm thinking maybe they just pretending like they still all gangbangers because, they don't want to not be gangbangers, but they didn't get along with the gang when they was in. No, these are still for real legit gangbangers, man. So yeah, I go to prison. And when I pull up to the prison, it's barbed wire, big old barbed wire fence all the way around it. It looked, and this is my first impression, I'm like, this shit looks like Hogwarts from Harry Potter. Like, it doesn't look that bad. I might be all right. You know what I'm saying? Get off the bus and I go in and everybody was cool. They was just waiting for you when you got in there. You went and did your registration. And when I did my registration, I walked out and they told me what dorm I went to. I went to my dorm, found the first black dude because I learned that you go to where, you talk to your people. So I went to the first black dude. I said, hey, bro, I just got in here, man. I'm from Indiana. They said, what gang you in? I say, bro, I don't gangbang, man. I'm a father. I'm an activist. I don't gangbang. They go, all right. They say, your people is Indiana, bro. So you go over there and holler at Coop. I said, all right. I went and hollered at Coop. Coop's from East Chicago. Freaking love Coop. Love Coop. Really good brother. He got me together. He gave me some shoes right when I got there. Gave me a little bit of commissary to hold me over until I could till we go to the store, and help me get my mattress, show me where I was bunking. And I was bunking with the Moors. It was a couple Moors. One little dude was a gangbanger. He was BD. And then that's where I was at. And then I just started meeting everybody's coming up to me. Where you from, bro? Da, 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 da. And I'm talking to everybody, and I'm telling them I'm from Indiana. They say, oh, nigga, we know you. You the J6 guy. I say, yeah, man, I'm the J6 guy. I say, man, you radical as hell, bro. What was that like? And they just all wanted to talk about that. Nobody asked me about the gang stuff. Nobody. I'm flying through this thing, and I'm comfortable. I'm getting established in here. I'm working out. They had a full yard, weights. Everything is good. I'm there for a couple months. I've done assimilated. I stay out the way. For the most part, I stayed out the way, but they had pool tables. I would go bust everybody's ass in pool and never bet. People were always gambling. People always wanted to gamble. I didn't gamble. They had drugs. I didn't use them. I didn't do anything wrong. I just tried to stay to myself and kicked it with the people that I was cool with inside of there. Sat down and ate with Coop every day, and I just chilled, I had to go to meetings, like group. I did classes and stuff when I was in there. So I had to go and do that. And I sat and heard, you sit around everybody, all these different people that got these different cases. They had the chomos. Them niggas was outcast. Like nobody talked to them. Nobody talked to them. But it was a low. So you got all of that around, but nobody did nothing to them. Normally they would, they treated them bad. Like they couldn't even sit and watch TV. They had to go outside and watch TV. They couldn't sit in the TV room. You know what I'm saying? So when we would all be sitting watching TV or whatever, them niggas, they had to go. You know, we had our section, we all had our chairs, and I'm in these classes and I'm listening to different people's stories and hearing all these different stories about their lives and how what led them to be incarcerated. And I just remember sitting to myself thinking, wow, one story messed me up real bad about this. It was this Chomo dude who was in there for having CP, right? And I'm listening to this dude's story because you had to write a story about yourself, about your life, and then read it to everybody in front of everybody. And he read that story and he talked about how his mom used to let like stuff happen to him because she was addicted to drugs. And he remembers the dude that would come over there and give her the drugs, black dude. And you know, he was young and he didn't know anything. And he just started using drugs when he got a little bit older and being able to access them. And then he just went down this weird path and started watching things that he shouldn't have been watching. And he never remembers being in a right state of mind. He doesn't have a memory of that. He just remembers drugs, abuse, and like all these things. And I was just like, damn, you know, and crazy enough, like my heart felt for the dude because in my mind, I'm like, I used to sell drugs. You know what I'm saying? Did I ever create that kind of environment for a kid? Right now, he's a grown criminal, right? But he was a kid at one point that experienced some messed up stuff. Did the drugs that I sold to some of the women that I sold drugs to create that kind of environment for their kids? And it messed me up. I felt horrible for the dude. And it made me have a different outlook towards people. You know what I'm saying? The dudes that committed murders, why they committed the murders, listening to their stories. And I'm just like, damn. Like I hear the story of when they were children and the things that, how great life had been. And then the thing that happened that switched them up and made them angry. And it made me just view people differently. It's like all of them at one time was just kids. And then bad shit happened. And instead of running from the bad shit and walking into better, they stayed going down doing the bad shit. And it made me feel, this might sound like egotistical, but it made me feel proud of myself. Because even in the setting that I was in, I didn't keep on going down the wrong path with all the bad shit that happened to me. You know? I kept walking right. I've had my bumps along the way, but I kept doing right, even when it seemed wrong to the world. You know what I'm saying? When I was in Cimarron, it seemed bad in the eyes of a criminal to tell one another criminal for stealing another criminal's weed. But it wasn't, it was right. And they gave me my flowers for it. Like, bro, that was good. You did the right thing. In my community, you know, the no talking to the police, the no snitching. But in my mind, I'm not taking a rap for nobody. If I didn't do it, I'm not accepting that. Regular civilian people praise that and agree and be like, yeah, that's real. But a criminal gangbanging will be like, nah, hell no, that's against the code. So it's just like the different views and the different perspectives of life. But it made me feel proud of myself for always just staying true to me and trying to do my best to do what's right. Even in the sense of, you know, my people still being at home and never going away. Like that I'm proud of that. Some people will probably be like, no, but Cash, you should have said something about them because they actually did wrong things. And true enough, but what they didn't get caught for it. You know what I'm saying? And they've done better. They have changed their whole lives up. They shouldn't be punished for it as far as I was concerned. So anyway, I'm doing good there. There's another J6er that I was locked up with in there. I don't remember his name. Good kid. He was a young guy. But the SIS comes and gets me one day, and they say, "Hey man, pack your shit. You're out of here." I'm like, what? I don't got a status. Look, my hair stays braided up inside of there. There was this dude. Men braid better than women. I just want to say that. You know what I'm saying? And I always wondered too, when I was in this place, and I'm thinking that this has got to be a drop yard. It's got to be a drop yard. There's no way. No, it was active as hell. Gangbangers. BD almost stabbed the paisa. The Mexicans and the paisas almost got into it, and I was cool with one of the paisas because the dude's from Indiana. So he was like, but he wasn't in the Indiana car. He was in the paisa car. But we was cool. Like, we knew each other, and it was just like, it was a messed up situation again. Everybody had knives out, and I'm like, fuck, it's about to go down in here. And I stood with the brothers because you have to, but I'm like, I didn't want to be there, right? But anyway, SIS comes and gets me. Nobody got stabbed that day, by the way. SIS comes and gets me and says, pack your shit, you're out of here. I said, I'm out of here. Where am I going? He said, I don't know, man. Just pack your shit. I'm like, oh, okay. So I pack I'm thinking maybe I'm going to the camp because they had a camp. And I've been here and I've been doing good. So maybe they're sending me to the camp. SIS comes and picks me up, takes me to transfer the next day. Next day, Ben Lowe comes to me. He's like, he works down there and he sees everything, right? In the transferring. He goes, bro, what the fuck did you do? I said, I don't know what I do. He goes, nigga, you know where they sending you? I'm like, nah. He's like, nigga, they sending you to Lewisburg, USP. My heart dropped. I said, do they got a camp? He said, I'm supposed to go to a camp. I'm not supposed to go to a USP. He goes, man, I ain't never seen them transfer somebody to a USP, bro. From a low? We in a low, nigga. You going to a USP. I bet you it's because you were January 6er. I bet you it's because of that. I'm like, man, they still messing with me. Man, so I asked the guy, the officer, I say, man, why are they sending me to USP? Is there a mistake? I asked the SIS guys, matter of fact. I go, I don't want to leave. I don't want to transfer. I want to stay here. I don't want to go to USP. I'm tripping because I'm like, I know what comes with a USP. After all the brothers that I done met and talked to, I'm not going. I'm going to die or I'm going to kill somebody. I'm not going to a USP. He goes, I don't know, man. But yeah, they do have a camp there. So it could be just a slip up on the paperwork. You know, they got a camp in Lewisburg. I said, oh, okay. So it made my mind go to ease a little bit. And he goes, but you do have to go. Like, if you don't go, I got to put you in segregation. And you got to get it right up. And I'm like, okay. So I go. And when I go, they put me in the little, the segregation. I'm like, yo, why am I here? SIS comes down. He said, you said you was going to be in the gang dropout program, right? I said, yeah, I'm in the gang dropout program. I just came from a low. They said, no, you have not been. They're looking through you've been on active yards every place that you've been to. And I'm like, whoa. So you mean to tell me this whole time I've been in active yards? He's like, yeah. Nobody gave you a hard time? Asking as if like he was happy. You know what I'm saying? That to know that I had a hard time. I said, nah, bro, I had it good. I said, can I go back? He said, nah, you can't go back. You're here now. So, we just got to go through with the process. I said, do they got another low? He said, yeah, they got a low. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go through the process and I meet all the people that were dropouts that was inside of the hole that we were in. And I'm waiting. You got to wait like 2 weeks before there's room that opens up for you to go into the general population. So I'm waiting in seg, and it's a bunch of fucking trannies and drug users that have done foul shit and robbed their own people, people that were part of the LGBTQ community that got ran off the yard. It was just a whole bunch. In my mind, I thought a gang dropout program was going to be people that wanted to do better. That was like, I'm tired of being in a gang. I just want to just be a normal human being. No, they existed. Like, there were some of us that was like that, but no. These are people that got ran off of yards. So I'm like, okay, well, this is what it is. So then I get into general population, And I find people who were like myself, but the chaos, it was where I just came from order. There was zero order, zero rules, Wild West, no mutual respect, no none of that. You don't know, because these people feel like they don't got to answer to nobody no more. Like the leash is off. You know what I'm saying? It was like the Wild West. And then I understood what they said when they said that drop yards are more dangerous, can be more dangerous than active yards. Lewisburg USP was like an old ass style blood in, blood out prison. You ever seen Blood In, Blood Out? Yeah, it's like that. The cell doors and everything is like bars. It's just, they close and just clank. Still working out, doing my thing. So then I find out where I'm going. I'm thinking I'm going to a low. No. They said, you're going to Tucson, Arizona. I said, oh, shit. Okay, that's hot. I said, is that a low? They said, no. It's a medium high, FCI. So I went from a low security facility to a medium high security in Tucson, Arizona, where they send a lot of high profile cases. That's where Derek Chauvin was at. That's where drug lords were at. And apparently where I was at. I went to Tucson, Arizona. So when I get there, thank God they had a semblance of order in the sense of race, because now there's no gangs. If you get caught gang banging on this yard, you're gone. But they still had gangbangers, and guess what it was? Sureños. Sureños hate black people. I can tell you that. That's a fact. They're just taught to hate black people. It's crazy. But the Sureños don't call themselves Sureños in there. They created a whole nother group. These are outcasted Sureños. These outcasted Sureños, I forget what they called themselves. I forget. But they created a little subculture inside of there. And yeah, Black Hand, all of that. The dude that stabbed Derek Chauvin, John Tursack, that pile of dog shit, man. He, not because he stabbed Derek Chauvin. He's just him as a human being. He was just a trashy drug addict ass human being, but high profile case. He's the dude that took down the Mexican mafia or Black Hand or whatever. I forget how it works, but yeah, he's that guy. And I was lucky because one of the dudes that was in there was a dude that only reason he was there was because when they switched the yard to a dropout yard, he refused to leave. But he just didn't want to gangbang no more anyway. He's like, I don't want to do this shit no more. So yeah, I'll stay. And he stayed. And it's my dog, P. P. I can't wait for that brother to get out. He's from where I'm from. He's from East. Well, we were born in the same place. He was born in EC. I was born in EC, East Chicago. And he used to be 2'6". We were like mortal enemies in the streets, but best friends being locked up. That was my dog. And we worked out every day. We had a small group of people that we kicked it with. We hung with the Puerto Ricans. Like I hung out with straight Puerto Ricans. You know, I had to sit at the black table to eat lunch, and the Puerto Ricans sat with us because Puerto Ricans are considered black inside of the prison. It's funny as hell. So, and Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and blacks. We all kicked it together. We all sat at the black TV, the black table, and all of that. And it was so hot when I first got there. They said, put on sunscreen. This black dude told me that. He said, bro, you got to wear some sunscreen. I said, man, I ain't wearing no sunscreen. I ain't never had to wear sunscreen in my life. I ain't never had a sunburn. Bro, by the end of the day, I swear to God, my skin turned into like reptile skin, like an alligator. That sun fried my ass up. And from that point on, I wore sunscreen every day outside in Tucson, Arizona. And I buckled down, man, inside of there. I did every single college course that they offered. I worked out every day for hours. I was up to like 25,000 steps. Like I would walk the track, run the track, play football, play baseball. My team won. Obviously, I named my team the White Sox. I was the coach and the captain, and we won. And I completed 2 anthropology courses, for anthropology 101 and then anthropology advanced. I completed both of those. Uh, the whatever the name of that class was for your anger, and it was another class. Took English literature. English literature, took that, and yeah, just met a whole bunch of people. And when I came home, oh, they tried to screw me. Get back to the First Step Act. I kept telling the officer, my case officer, case manager, that I qualify for the First Step Act and I'm already supposed to be home. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm already supposed to be home. I'm not supposed to be here. He said, no, you don't qualify because you got a case from DC. Because remember when I told you that judge gave me 30 days consecutive and 30 days concurrent? He said, you don't qualify. I said, yes, I do. Even though he gave me that case, bro, I say, if you read the statutes, none of my statutes from DC conflict with the First Step Act. I found a loophole because I read so much about fucking law when I was locked up. Found a loophole. A month before I got out, I didn't know I was getting out, but the month before I did get out, my case manager came and apologized to me and said, I'm so sorry, bro. You were right. You were right. I was fighting this for months being inside there. I was already supposed to be home. They were holding me longer than I was supposed to be there. They said, man, we're recalculating everything and we're going to get you together. My date changed from when I was supposed to get out from like June of 2024 to February 2024, or no, January 2024. And I was happy. No, it was February 2024. It switched to February, which means that I was supposed to be in the halfway house by September of 2023, which means I would have been home October of 2023. They played me out. They made sure they got every ounce of time out of me that they could when I went through the system. Again, made me hate the system. Made me hate it. Made me hate the government at that time. So now it gets time to come home. I say my goodbyes to everybody. People hated to see me go, exchange numbers, all of that. Made promises that I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna do something, and by the time they get out, that I'm gonna be something. And I got them when they get out. I'm gonna try to have a little bit of money so I could help them get on their feet and all of that. And then when I came home to the halfway house, it was like unreal when I stepped out the prison. It was unreal and I didn't know how to feel. Real talk, I didn't know how to feel. I had just made it through what I thought was either going to kill me or get me more time. And I remember getting in the car and asking the dude that was taking me, because he was an inmate, I say, hey, man, stop at the gas station right here. I'm going to get me some squares. I want to get me something to drink, and I want to get me some food. He was like, all right. And he did. And I grabbed me a cigarette, and I smoked a cigarette, and it was the worst feeling I've ever felt. I thought I was going to love smoking that cigarette. I said, oh, this shit is nasty. I threw the whole pack away. Like, I'm done with the cigarettes, man. And the food was great. I think I had got McDonald's or Wendy's or something. It was amazing. And then I remember getting on that plane and remembering every single time I've been on the plane, it was like 4 or 5 times I've been on a plane since I had been incarcerated, and it was always in chains. But this time I was going through and I was free, and my homeboy braided me up before I left. My guy braided me up, man. And I was fresh. Like, I had my brand new fit on. I had my jewelry on. I felt good. I had my J's on. I felt good. No, matter of fact, I wasn't wearing my J's. I was actually wearing the shoes that I wore when I stormed the Capitol because they were so nice. I had just bought them in California before the January 6th had happened. And I wore those. They're limited edition ones. And I was walking out feeling good. I was like, you guys got me here. You carried me to prison. Now you're gonna carry me home. But I got on that plane, took me a shot. Yeah, man. And I flew to the halfway house. When I went to the halfway house, I was back in Chicago. I remember flying into Chicago and was like, damn, I'm back. I'm back. And the only thing that I kept thinking about was I can't wait to see my kids. I cannot wait to see my kids. So when I get to the halfway house, I'm there for like 2 weeks. I'm working out, minding my business. And they told me that I could go. They said, you could go. We already filed your papers. You're free to go. I was there for 2 weeks. And I got out the halfway house and went to my dad's. Moved in with my pops because, you know, things had played out another way. And I had people there for me through the whole thing, you know, looking out. Shout out to Mama Dawn and Papa Dan. They said, we're going to hire you. You're going to get back to creating content again. And I said, all right, well, what do I got to create? They said, whatever you want. Whatever you want. They sent me over a contract and told me to get back out there, spread awareness, make people laugh, make people happy, inspirational, talk about the news. Your voice is important. That's what Mama Dawn and Papa Dan told me. They said, your voice is important. Get back to doing what you do. And I did. And then my baby, I see my Nova for the first time. She didn't know who the hell I was, but she did. And that was dope. And then I seen Caden and Isaiah and Cash, Rai, Kiwi. And that was an experience. It's still up on my Streetlights Unity movement. I shared that video. And that was amazing. And then Champagne came back up here. And I got to see Messiah and Cammy and Nanas. 2 months out, I got this house. Was creating again. Started from scratch. From 380,000 people on Facebook to 0. Created a page in the halfway house. 2 months in, we hit like 5K. And another 5 months later, we hit like 10K. And then over the last year, we've made it to what, 33? We're at 33K right now. Not even 10% of the 380,000, but we're getting there. Instagram, 256,000 followers, gone. Started from scratch again. We're almost to 6K over there. X, we're doing good over here on X. We got, what, 22 or something like that. Was it 22K? 20? I don't know. It's something like that. Thank you. Thank you, guys. My YouTube is doing really good. Not like how it was. We had the same amount of subscribers. We're losing some every day because, you know, YouTube just does that. But still growing and getting the numbers back. And then beyond all of that, I drive a truck for a living. I'm a truck driver. Not what I thought I would be doing in 2026. But I'm a truck driver, and I enjoy it. And my mind has changed a lot about a lot of things. I know that this world is chaotic. It's full of sob stories. It's full of people that are damaged. It's full of people that have done horrible things. It's full of people that still don't got it figured out. Well, probably none of us got it all the way figured out. But I'm able to have a lot more grace with people, which is why I'm able to make the posts that I make. I'm not perfect. I call people bitches still. I still smack people. I know that. Like, I don't got it all the way together. I'm a lot closer to God. I love people for the most part. Even the really fucked up people. You know, I love them because I know that they weren't always fucked up. It's things in society. You ever heard People say that they're a product of their environment. And yeah, that's true for a while, right? A lot of people in this world are a product of their environment. But a lot of people don't know that they have a choice not to be. And that's why I try to create the things that I create and do the videos that I do. I'm trying to let them know, to educate them and let them know, like, yo, you don't gotta be a product of your environment. You could be whatever you want, but you gotta work to get there. And you start the work to get there by choices that you make. In the life that we live, that's all it is. It's just a bunch of choices. You don't have to go by gang rules. You don't have to be a street dude. And if you are a street dude and you do want to be a part of a gang, well, you don't have to be a bad person. You don't have to do bad things. You don't have to be a racist. If you grew up racist because your environment, you don't have to be a racist. If you grew up angry, you don't have to be angry. Your parents want you to be a doctor, you don't have to be what your parents want you to be. You could be whatever you choose to be. It's your life. And you make the choices in your life to be what you want to be, to do what you want to do. And when you figure that part out, because society does try to push you in different ways. My society pushed me to believe that I had to be a gangbanger. And that's what was around me. That was my environment. But there was always people around me telling me that I could be more, that I didn't hear. I didn't listen to because I didn't believe them. Sometimes you should choose to believe the thing that seems impossible but is so good for you. I think it's important that we tell our kids you could be anything that you want to be. You can be anything that you want to be. And if you don't become what you want to be, what did Benny Siegel say? He say, shoot for the moon against all odds. If you miss, don't trip. You still amongst them stars. When you start reaching for a goal that is beyond anything that you ever imagined, and you take all the steps that you could take to get to that goal, even if you never reach that goal, your life is 10 times better than what it was when you first took the first step into walking into it. And that's the truth, man. My life is so much better than what it's ever been. I work hard, yeah. I'm away from my family sometimes, driving that truck, but I was away from my family for 3 years. So a couple days here and there, it's not too bad. I'm able to do nice things for them. I see myself on stages. I see myself talking to youth, talking to people, not even just youth, just people, and trying to inspire them to be something more. I see myself with a bank account full of money, enough money to help people anytime they need help. I see myself helping people come out of bad situations like gangs, hatred, drugs, abuse. I see it. So everything that you see me doing right now is me walking into that. I ain't there yet to be able to do all of those things at once, but I do them in small ways here or there with what I got. I got the Streetlights Unity movement. In a small way, I get to talk to kids and try to keep them away from gangs, away from the streets, away from drugs. Help stop violence. I get to talk to them. In a small way, I'm able to help people come out of that negative mindset of racism or, bigotry or hate from all different colors by videos that I create that lead to communications and DMs. It's not big like how it used to be. It's not even as big as it's gonna be. But I'm doing what I can right now. And I'm happy with it. Because I know I'm stepping into something more. So do you know me? I hope after this video you know me a little bit more. Where my heart's at. Yeah, I joke a lot. You might see me say some things in some videos. You might see me act a certain way. You might look up news articles. You might, you might know me from before. You say, damn, Cass, you changed. But that's good. Who I am, I'm not ashamed of. Depending on who watches these videos, if it's a street dude, they'll hear the beginning of this video and be like, damn, that nigga, cooperated. And they might not like it. But then somebody else on the flip side of that might find themselves in the same position and be like, damn, this is how bro handled it. And look at his life right now. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might watch this video and maybe they might have to go to prison one day. And they'll understand like, dang, okay, this is how he operated. And this is what he did. I've gotten people to join the gang dropout program that was in bad situations, inside of prisons. And they're better off for it. Some of them weren't going to make it home. They was not going to make it home. Real talk. Especially if you go to anything other than a low. You go to a medium and USP, it's rough. It is rough. Thank God I didn't have to endure any of that. On an active yard in a USP or an active yard in an FCI, that shit is not for me at all. But hopefully these little videos, like the response that I got from the video with, you don't got to be racist, that it's just dumb. It's going crazy on social media right now. And the comments is filled with a whole bunch of people, white, black. Hey, one guy's Asian. He said, bro, you forgot to mention Asians. What about me? I love this video. And that shit made me crack up and it made me feel good. Because so many people share the ideology that I have. So many people are just common sense. And when you look at the left and you look at the right when it comes to politics, you start to realize something when you really pay attention. The mainstream right wing has gone radical. Radical beliefs, hate-filled. When you look at the radical left side, mainstream, radicals, hate-filled, want weird shit for kids, and they promote just the most messed up things that are harmful to the country. And then you look at the middle ground, though. You look at a moderate Republican or a moderate conservative and a moderate Democrat, a moderate liberal, and it's crazy that we are more closely aligned to their line of thinking than the radical on either side. Bridge that gap. Because really what it comes down to is intelligent and unity-driven, unity-wanting people versus people that want hate, that want division for the wrong thing. It's okay to want to be divided from somebody for an evil thing. Color isn't evil. Political affiliation isn't evil. Yeah. So I hope you guys know me a little bit better now. You know what I'm saying? I hope that you see who I am. I'm a man I love my kids. Everything that I've ever done and will ever do is for my kids, 100%. I try to leave this world a little bit better than when I found it by the things that I put into it. I'm loyal to my people. My people is not any one color, never has been. My people is not a gang. My people is not a political ideology. My people are my people that are good, that just want good for themselves, for their family, for their brothers, for their sisters. My people are my people. Always have been since I was a kid in Waco. Those are still my people. Those are still my people. Loke was to hit me up right now and say, hey, bro, I need your help. I'm going to be there. Loke has always been my bro. If Craze ever hit me up and say, bro, I need you, what do I'm going to be there. Ralph, Dennis, Lurch, you know what I'm saying? Lacero, Baby Boy, Lily, Sharice. You feel me? Like all the people that I grew up with, my people. David Figs, my people. And all of the people that I just mentioned are from different backgrounds, like different colors, different gangs, but those are my people. You know? Ray, Jacob, that Jacob's Arab, you know? Musa, Raja, all of those are my people from when I was like the sandbox. It's never been about color for me. That's why I go so hard about it. It's really never even been about a gang for me because I couldn't stand most of the people that was in my gang. I only joined because I thought I had to and hated most of them niggas. I robbed them. I robbed them at one point. That's why I caught the violation. I robbed them. They beat my ass so bad, man. I robbed the Kaha. That's what it's called, the box. I robbed the box, the treasurer. I was the treasurer. I took that damn money and ran. Young. I was young. I was like 17, 18 years old, man. But I couldn't stand most of them. I could not stand them. I couldn't stand what they stood for. Nothing. I hated a lot of them. My people was my people from my hood. It's what's tattooed on my stomach to this day. But it's grown beyond all of that because now my people, I got on here. I got a lot of you guys that some of you I've never met in person, but you're my people. The people in the comments section that agree with what I was saying about race and they shared their thoughts and it lines up. The common sense that want good for the country, want good for the people of this country, that can call out wrong when it's wrong, no matter what color does it. Like, where are these people that say that black people can't talk about white problems? What is a white problem? What are you talking about? White people can't talk about black problems. What are you talking about? Are they American? Is what they're saying true? It's just the way that we talk about things, you guys. It's never what you say, it's how you say it. A lot of people attach color, and they do that on purpose. The news does it on purpose. They attach statistics to color, to categorize. That doesn't matter. The problem is crime. Black people aren't the only ones that commit crime, obviously. But they do it the most, Cash. Doesn't matter. Why don't we just call out crime? Crime is wrong. Let's not commit crime. The brother that I told you about, Farmer, that they felt like it was a monster, he's white. Jeremiah Farmer's white. He was in a gang. Very good at being a gangbanger. To be honest with you, one of the most successful in history. He's the one that beat up R. Kelly. Remember when that headline came out? R. Kelly got beat up in prison in MCC Chicago? Yeah, that was Farmer. That's my cousin-in-law. Was my cousin-in-law. Color got nothing to do with anything. It's upbringing. And then how you choose to be once you figure out that you got a choice. So what's your choice? What's your choice? You gonna choose to hate? You gonna choose to, gangbang? You gonna choose to sell drugs? You gonna choose to be racist? You're gonna choose to just do the wrong things. If that's gonna be your choice, I can promise you this: you got a hard road in store for you. It's not easy to live bad. I know how people make it look. I know it's glorified, but it ain't easy. It comes with a lot of hardships with no reward. There's no reward in it. I know some of you guys that say some of the shit you say, aren't proud of yourselves for saying it. Hopefully you're not to the point where you can't feel no more. Some people can't even feel no more because they've desensitized themselves so much, because they've done so much. You just continue to do the shit. You continue to do the wrong. When you continue to do the wrong, you cut yourself off from what makes you human, that conscience that you have that tells you, hey, that shit ain't right. Don't do that. Not to say you can't come back from it, but you got to recognize the problem first. So when you see me make these videos, you guys, yeah, that's really who I am. That's me. All right. Not a tough guy. I fight. I'll whoop your ass. I will whoop your ass. But I'm not a tough guy. I just know how to fight. I don't want to whoop your ass. There's a difference. I will whoop your ass, but I don't want to whoop your ass. I love my family. I used to be a whore. Now I'm totally faithful. Straight up, like, switched my whole mind frame. I love my wife to death. Would never cheat on my wife. I like to believe that I'm a good dad. I love taking care of my kids. I love providing. I love to work. Nobody loves to work. I love driving my truck. I hate that it has to be work. I'll say it like that. I love driving a truck. I hate that it's got to be work. I would like to just drive the truck whenever I want to drive the damn truck. So anyway, that's who I am. Okay. So what you can expect from me if you remain on this page: family post. Sometimes I'm going to talk about some political stuff that I feel may be important. Sometimes I'm going to be making videos talking about current topics, situations that's going on, like the Carmelo Anthony trial that we got going on right now. Not talking about it to condemn or excuse or any of those things, but to bring some common sense and a little bit of I don't know, like healing to some of the people that are so highly vested in this for no reason other than color. That shit's stupid. You're stupid. It's not your fault that you're stupid, but you're stupid. Stop being stupid. It's not about race. It's about the action. And for the black people that are just so hung up on just support black no matter what, stop. It's just dumb. I'm not telling you not to pray for his family. Definitely, I'm praying for his family. I'm praying for him. I'm praying for Carmelo Anthony and I'm praying for his family, but I'm also praying for justice. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm not saying he's innocent. What I know is a young boy lost his life at the hands of another young boy, which in my eyes is a tragic situation. That shit is horrible. And I never want to be in that position. That in itself to me is wrong, that a young man's life was taken. That's wrong, according to me, not the law. And that's what we're waiting for, is what the law says. What's the judgment going to be? And whatever the judgment is, that's it. It's done. So whatever happens from this case, just pray for peace. Don't do nothing stupid. People are waiting for reactions from both sides. I'm talking to white and black people. If Carmelo Anthony gets off, gets acquitted, right? I don't want to see a whole bunch of racist comments. I don't want to see nobody out there talking about we're going to have a civil war now because these, these N-words and all the things that y'all say. When I say y'all, I mean the racist, okay, that happen to be white. Regular white people, I love you guys. You already know. Shout out to my mom. To the black, shade of people, Americans. If he gets found guilty, I don't want to see any of the shit from y'all either. It is what it is. At the end of the day, God's in control. And whatever his will is going to be is what his will is going to be. Quit the hate. The people that are making it about race, quit. This isn't race. This is about a tragic situation. Sympathize with both families. Both families are losing. There's no winners here. There is no winners here. And that's all I got. I hope you know me a little bit better now. All right. And before I go, last thing I want to say, there's a brother that's part of the J6 community. Apparently, I think he is. I seen him. He said he got out. But my man came and said some slick shit, which inspired this video, to be honest, for me to explain who I am. Not because I have to, but because there's a bunch of new people that have decided to follow my page. Thank you, by the way. On X, I got a lot of new people that just showed up and agree with me. And I appreciate that. But I want you to know who I am. And it was inspired by this guy who came in just trying to talk shit on the video that I made with my daughters, or my daughter, my wife, and my son. That's going crazy, right? It's a good video. And he just had to come and say something negative. He didn't know that I was a January 6er. He just saw a black guy. And these are the people that I'm talking about. Like, change your behavior. And he tried to say some slick shit to me. And then he tried to post my, like talking about the court stuff, saying that, oh, I cooperate, because I told him if he would have been in DC with me, I probably would have beat his ass like how I did Jake. And I would have. Just to be honest with you, if I saw you today, if I seen you today, I'd smack the fucking taste out your mouth. I really would, because you old enough to know better than to come talking shit. All right? I don't want problems, but I hate racists, no matter who they are. I'll smack the shit out of a black racist. I don't care. I'm indiscriminate when it comes to these hands. And you can feel however you want to feel and say whatever you want to say. But I can't stand when a fucking decrepit beta male wannabe tough guy, nigga, you are not tough. I just want to point that out. You are not tough. No matter how you try to look, no matter, you got Twitter fingers, bro. Twitter fingers. So what? You went to fucking jail. You didn't even make it to prison, nigga. You was in a jail. All you niggas that say that you've been to prison, you've been to jail. You never been to prison, okay? You were released from DCDOC, nigga. That's not prison. That is jail. Understand the difference. But you talk greasy, bro, like for no reason other than I'm black. The reason I'm talking greasy is because you're running your mouth simply because I'm black. I don't know you to have a problem with you. I just see you acting like a tough guy. And you're the reason why. You're the reason why so many black men, so many white men, so many brown men, red men, yellow men would never want to call themselves conservatives. It's you and people like you. Because when we, regular people, come and tell them, bro, the Republican movement, the MAGA movement is not racist, they can point to fucking scumbag, inbred sons of bitches like you and say, well, what's this? And I'm calling you all of these things because that's what you seem like. Because inbreds are kind of fucking stupid, and that's what you seem like to me. You don't strike me as an intelligent human being. And you pissed me off. So know this, and I'm standing on this, all right? If our paths ever cross, if I ever see you in public, ever, we're going to find out if you really built like that. And I'm just going to leave it like that. And I know the answer is no. You're going to do what Jake did, and you're going to fucking ball up like a bitch and beg for mercy. Okay? I hope that day never comes. I pray to God it never comes. I pray I never see you in public. But if I happen to, and I don't give a fuck if you call yourself a Proud Boy or not, that shit means nothing to me at all. I will smack the dog shit out of you. I'm not even going to punch you. If I punch you, you're going to sleep. My open hand smack the fucking taste out of your mouth when I see you. Okay? I didn't name no names. For all you know, this is a hypothetical person. but you know who you are. You know who you are. That being said, I hope all of you that are watching that are good people have a good day. If you're not a good person, try to be. Just try to get better. You can change. Everybody can change. One thing that'll never change about Cash is these hands, because the leash has been put off for me. I've been off probation now for a month. So I would knock any one of you motherfuckers out that got something to say. And we could talk about it afterward. I'll shake your hand. I'll even buy you a beer. But I love to fight. That's always been me. It's always going to be me. I'm a fighter. That's what I do. So let's pray it never gets to that. All right. Y'all have a good day. I'm going to sign off of here and get to creating. Thank you. Peace. How do we exit? Where's that? Oh, there it is.